Hello everyone, thank you for stopping by again. My name's Laura and I'm back today to continue talking about my reread and final completion of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Today we are talking about Lover Awakened. This is Zsadist and Bella's book. It's the third book in this series and it is certainly the darkest and bumpiest ride that we've encountered so far in this series. It's a phenomenal book. This one is very much interconnected with the previous book, Lover Eternal, as that one was left on a cliffhanger for the characters that feature in this book. It's very important that you do read Lover Eternal with this one. I think the first two are interchangeable, but this one you very much need to read Lover Eternal to get the full impact of this one, as Bella, our main female character in this one, where she has been left in the previous book is she has been captured by a particular member of the Lessening Society called Mr. O, who's a very unusual character, and we'll learn more about him as we go. But she's been kidnapped, she's been held for some weeks, so there's a number of weeks between the last book and this one. And Zsadist, our main male character, he is pretty much leading the charge trying to get her back. So we're starting off on a real dark and low point here. Out of all of the couples, these two really do have the choppiest and darkest journey to happiness. It's one hell of a ride, it really is. So if you like your romances dark, dramatic and emotion destroying, this one is for you. I mean, this book overall, with regard to the side storylines that we'll get into, the huge things start happening in this one. We learn more about the war gets more intense, so we're really in for it with this book. So Zsadist is the darkest and most feared member of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. He's notorious in this world. He was taken as a baby. He's actually the identical twin of Phury, one of the other brothers, but some weeks after he was born he was taken. He ended up in slavery, became a blood slave. In this world that is an illegal practice, and so he transitioned while he was actually being held captive. His twin brother Phury, he pretty much spent all his early years trying to track down his brother. He's become celibate, so these two really are like yin and yang of each other. You've got Zsadist, very much carries his pain on the outside for all to see. Phury looks composed, looks the gentleman, but has got a lot going on under the hood, if you know what I'm saying. But they've both very much been affected by Zsadist's early kidnap and his early years. I mean, Phury actually lost his leg getting his brother back, but he managed to do it, and they did join the Brotherhood, and they're certainly a formidable team. But Phury is the only one that Zsadist trusts. He's the only one that can sort of bring him out of the dark place to some degree. The previous book is where Bella and Zsadist met. It was electric, but Zsadist really doesn't know what to do with his connection and attraction to Bella because of his trauma that he suffered as his time as a blood slave. It's bringing up a lot of emotions. It's like extreme PTSD, but there is a connection there from the off. But initially he is kind of pushing her away. The thing that I did like about this book with regard to Bella is she's the first character that we've seen who's actually already a vampire and a high society member of the vampire community. She's born into what they call the Glimera, I think that's how they pronounce it. She's had a rough time of it in the upper echelon of the vampire society, because they are quite difficult to live within. So it's interesting to see our previous female lead characters have either been started off as human and transitioned, or have been a human, and so we've been having no knowledge of this world and then finding out about it. Whereas in this book, with Bella being very much a member of vampire society, she's already got her feet in there. She's also seen the disadvantages of being born into the high society, and so she's got a real strength, a quiet strength about her. She's a fantastic character to follow. She's a good match for Zsadist. She's going to be really fantastic in drawing him back to the light as such, especially as, unfortunately, they are both coming from a place of trauma, and seeing how Bella deals with it really sort of shows Zsadist that, you know, it doesn't have to be all dark for himself. Seeing somebody, she's never broken by her experience at the beginning of the book. So getting back to where we're at the start. So Zsadist really is the one that's leading the charge in trying to find Bella. This is sort of an unusual behaviour for him, because he's never really shown any interest in females, so the other brothers don't kind of know what to sort of make of it. So far, what we have seen of the lessening society is that they've pretty much been shown to be a solid unit of, they have no agency other than selling their souls to the Omega and then pretty much just doing whatever he wants. They're made eunuchs, essentially. This is why Mr. O is strange, because he still has the urges of when he was human, in that you're picking up vibes that he was a bit of a sexual deviant, and there was a woman in his life that he was obsessed with, possibly stalked. You're getting hints to that, but Bella looks a lot like her, and this is why he becomes obsessed with her and does kidnap her and keeps her actually to himself. So he keeps her hidden from the other members of the lessening society, which is strange behaviour, because he's still sort of retaining pieces of when he was a human. And I mean, when they become a lesser, their hair starts losing pigment, their eyes, their skin, they sort of turn pale, but he's still wanting to dye his hair brown. So he's a real anomaly within this community. But in seeing from his point of view, you do get a real insight into these villains. You're seeing a lot more of these villains. They are becoming sort of more three-dimensional in this story. They're not just sort of like an off page, every time they show up they get into a fight. You're really seeing their structure and their dynamic. So you're seeing what a threat they are to the Brotherhood and to the world. But what he's doing to Bella at the beginning of this book is terrible. I mean, she's literally in a pit in the ground. He's not quite broken her though, but she's kind of worked out that he is obsessed with her, and she's able to use that to her advantage and to keep herself alive. But she's kind of given up hope that anybody's coming for her, but he's not broke her spirit, even though she's fighting in her own way. It's fantastic. It's wonderful when you see her get over on one. But she ends up kind of being able to save herself, in that a male vampire is brought in. She's able to get him free. So she sort of sacrifices herself. She thinks, this is it, I'm going to get him free, but maybe this will get them to her location. It works. They're able to home in on her, they get her. But when they do find her, she has sort of paid the price for getting this male vampire free. I mean, it's disgusting, but she's literally had her eyes sewn shut, which is just terrible. But Zsadist gets her back to the Brotherhood compound, and he goes into full protector mode, which again, the brother's like, this is really strange behaviour for him, because he's, he won't let anybody near her, and he starts looking after her. And so this book, she is pretty much spent at the Brotherhood compound healing, which, as this book is very much themes of trauma, themes of healing, it's you see in Zsadist helping Bella get back to strength, get back to health. In a roundabout way, he is actually coming to terms with what happened to him all those years ago. And it's a wonderful journey to see, but it is a very, very difficult one. Now, there's a process that happens to the female vampires, and this is how they procreate. And we've heard little hints as to it, and we hear that it's obviously child death and female death through childbirth is incredibly high. The female vampires go through what they call a kneading process, and this is when they sort of are fertile and they need the assistance of a male vampire to help them through. So you can imagine what this chapter is like. It's next level crazy for the females. It's terrible what they have to go through during this time, but it's certainly a memorable chapter. Don't know how the TV show is going to handle this on screen. We will see. But Zsadist doesn't want to drug her, because this process sends the males into a frenzy, and they have to see it through until essentially the kneading is over. And Zsadist has issues with intimacy because of what happened to him, but he does step up and he does help her through the process of kneading. He's kind of hoping that she isn't pregnant, but we'll we'll see how that works out for him. But it was quite the chapter, put it that way. It does form their bond as such. So it's an incredibly important moment in their story. It just shows you the hardships that the female vampires have to go through in this world. Not only do they have to put up with sort of being overly protected by the males, and it's just another thing where you're like, wow, these you've got to be strong to be a female vampire in this world. Even on like a biological level, you've got to be strong, as well as having to put up with all the shenanigans that the male vampires do put them through in this world. So it speaks to obviously how strong Bella is as a character. Now obviously with Zsadist being a twin with Phury, Bella's introduction and Zsadist attraction to Bella, sort of, this is the start of Phury being put on his own journey. And he's also, because I mean he's been bottling up what's the fact that he's just as traumatized as Phury, and he kind of catches feelings for Bella. Now this is going to be drama that is played out through a number of books. So as Zsadist is finally healing, it sort of gives Phury the go ahead for him to have his breakdown and him to have his meltdown, and to some degree his is going to be somewhat worse than Zsadist, because he's been holding it together for centuries. And it's wonderful to see, he's happy for Zsadist, but it's his story. He's got a long way to go before he sort of is able to come out the other side of the trauma from what's happened to him and Zsadist as children. So that you're going to very much see that kicking off in this book, and it is wonderful to see play out, because I love the character of Phury and I love the character of Zsadist, and they are unusual because they are some of the only twins within this realm. It's very unusual to have two children, so it's wonderful to see it play out between the brothers, and it's going to cause some amazing drama in the next few books. Overall, it's wonderful to read the relationship and see it develop and to go on the ride, because as dark as this book gets, it makes it so much more satisfying when they do come out the other side and they do form and become a really, really great couple. But as well, I did like the way the storyline resolved with regard to Mr. O and Bella, because she actually takes her own vengeance, and she doesn't need people to save her. She's able to save herself because she's so strong. She's never broken by trauma, and I think Zsadist kind of respects that. And she's a phenomenal character in that she's been to hell and back, literally, and she's never let it broke her. Even when it's looking like her and Zsadist aren't going to make it, she's able to find another way to sort of carry on. Nothing phases Bella, and that's why she's a fantastic female character. She's wonderful to read, and she's a wonderful addition to the Brotherhood, and you can see why in these characters being introduced to them and coming into their lives, it is making everybody stronger. It was fantastic to read. I absolutely loved this one. However, the war in this one is ramping up, and we do have devastating things happen on the sidelines that have ripple effects throughout this series. There's a character called Torment who is happily mated to Wellsie. She has a young son on the way. They're going about their lives pretty much happily. He was, up until the first book, the only mated and settled brother. The war pretty much finds their doorstep in this one. Like, she is just going about her day, and spoilers, Wellsie is killed in this book, which up until this point is the most significant death since Darius in the first book, and we're going to feel the impact of this for many books to come. We've never seen the effects of what it's like for one of the brothers to lose their partners, and he literally disappears because of how traumatic it is. That's why this book is full trauma, but as well because John sort of was taken in by Wellsie and Torment. They're very much seen as his adoptive parents. This is going to have effects on him as well. So that storyline, I mean, that was huge. I wasn't expecting that to come, and the way that she's sort of killed is awful. Not only to lose her, but to lose his unborn son as well. It was epic. I mean, we've only sort of really got to know Wellsie as a side character, but she's so sweet, and she's, you know, is finally excited to have other females come, and she's finally got company. And you know, being the partner of a member of the Brotherhood is a difficult thing, and she's been so welcoming to the other characters. So it would have been lovely to have seen her, you know, continue in this series. But unfortunately, for what was planned for these characters, she was kind of, I think, wrote with the intention that she was going to die quite early on in the series. It is devastating to read that, and it's such a sad point that you kind of get left on with regard to those characters, you know, for John and for Torment. She was a very dynamic and wonderful character, and it was so sad to see her go. But I mean, it shows how the stakes are being upped with the war, and that the tide's turning, and that the Brotherhood is really sort of, they're kind of at a point where they're kind of losing, because it's just been these few brothers that have been holding back pretty much the Lessening Society. They've been the only defence, and this has been a real sort of win for them. But the effects of Wellsie being taken out in such a brutal way, it's going to have consequences, and it's going to have, you know, it's going to affect John, because he sees her as his adoptive mother. She's really embraced him and looked after him. And of course, Torment, who he's literally going to disappear for a few books. He literally just almost vaporizes in front of the other brothers when he finds out what's happened to her. So that's going to set Torment on a path. So he's going to sort of be gone for a while, but it's going to directly affect a number of characters. And it's awful, because she's a wonderful character, but it does show you how much of a threat level the Lessening Society are. It is shocking. It shows you how dangerous it is getting, that pretty much anybody can get taken out by this, that they really have no rules when it comes to the war, and it shows how savage they are. But I mean, this book, it addresses coming out of trauma, and to some degree it also kickstarts people going into trauma. So it's a rough one, but it is one of my favourites. I've read this one a few times. I mean, I'm not normally one for creasing the spine, but I can see this one, it's taken signs of wear, because it is one that I do revisit often, because Bella and Zsadist, they are some of my favourite characters, and I absolutely adore Phury. You do, with this one, it does go hand in hand with the dark things filtering in, and your stories are only really as good as the villains. And the Lessening Society are horrendous. They're horrible. They're not villains that you root for at all, but it just makes you love the brothers more. In some degree, it's a major stepping point in making the Brotherhood stronger, but it's also going to set a couple of them on a path that's going to, for a time, make them weaker, but which is sort of unusual. But it's a phenomenal book. I mean, Zsadist is so hard to love, but it's super rewarding when he gets his happy ending. And even though he is some of the most feared, and he does some terrible things as a trauma response, you're always rooting for him. And I think it's because of how well he's written and how well Bella's written. So I think as couples go within this series, they're always going to be top tier. If you haven't started this series yet, if you're looking at these first three books, for me, they're all 5 stars. Everyone just absolutely smashes it with regard to the characters. You know, you've got really independent female characters who are, as heroines go, I think they're some of the best written in this genre. You know, you're not going to find any better. And you've got real dynamic couplings going on. Overall, this one is a traumatic and a dark read, but it was always going to be because of what had happened to them both previously. They're both phenomenal characters. I mean, with all of the books, as we've said over and over again, it really is about people are better together, and Zsadist was always going to need somebody incredibly formidable to get him out of the dark place that he found himself in, and Bella's just, she's wonderful. When Bella and Zsadist do find their happiness, it's so rewarding at the end. And Bella does find out that she is pregnant, which is going to cause its whole other set of worries for Zsadist. But it is going to see, it's so wonderful seeing where he was at the start of this book to where he is at the end of this book. He literally does a full 360. But on the flip side of that, Phury, he's pretty much going to take the baton off Zsadist with regard to trauma and heading into the dark place for a bit. So it's sort of like swings and roundabouts with where we left with the characters in this one. But I loved seeing them sort of find their happiness as such, but it's very much a happiness with a pending on it, because that you've got Phury that we've still got to sort out. Obviously torment is in the darkest of places at the end of this book, but this one really does just make you want to carry on and continue and really get further into the story and learn more about the other brothers. And this book really is, with what's going on in the side stories, it really is, the themes of this one are trauma, coming out of trauma, but also it's kickstarting new traumas for various other characters within the series. And it's horrible to read, but it's upping the stakes of the war and what the brothers are fighting against. If you're looking for a romance with a bit more teeth, with a bit more, you know, grit, this is, you know, you won't be going wrong with this one. I would heavily recommend this one to people. Can't wait to see it adapted. It's going to be next level viewing on that one. So there's a lot of world building storylines that are left on the table at the end of this one. These first 3 books, for me, they're all first place. They're that good. I love them. And even though this one does leave on a high note but also a really low note, it's a fantastic read. It's a 5-star read. Don't miss this. It's wonderful. I think the people that they've cast as Zsadist, I can't wait to see him get his teeth into this. He's got some scenes to do, man. He's got some drama. So it's a phenomenal read. It's a 5-star read. It's this first 3 set of books are probably some of my favourite vampire reads. The first 3 in this series. I do revisit them often, and there's a reason for that. Overall, I do love this book. I love it. Can't wait to see who they cast as Bella, actually, because she will be up next in the next season. So I think it's going to be a fantastic must watch. But overall, this is a phenomenal read and highly recommended. Zsadist definitely is one of my top tier favourite brothers. And then next up was one that I actually skipped over the first time round, which was terrible of me, but we'll finally get into Butch's book, Love Revealed. He is just, Butch is, he is so good. His journey is amazing. So that's next. But yes, 5 stars for that one. I hope you have a wonderful day, and if you are wanting to get into Lover Awakened, and it's phenomenal, but enjoy the trauma. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, and see you again next time.